Yeah. Tried to lie to my old man. He didn't even give me a chance. He hit me before I even said anything.
Before I even had a chance to unwind, I had to give a press conference.
Elvis, there have been a lot of rumors about your love life. Did you meet anyone special in Germany?
Because in 15 years, it's hard to comprehend that happening. You know, to all the...
Elvis Presley, known as the King of Rock and Roll, and Marlon Brando, a legendary actor, were both influential figures in their respective fields. The word on the street claims that these two celebrities may have evoked fear and concern among some black men during that time by organizing freaky gay parties.
Somebody call the FBI and tell them that he has abducted me, that he has locked me in this golden cage.
This fear could have stemmed from societal attitudes towards gays, as well as the potential implications for individuals' personal and professional lives in a time when being gay was often stigmatized.
If every male in the world was as heterosexual as Elvis was, the word gay would not be.
These allegations have set the entertainment industry ablaze. Let's delve into the controversies behind the pair's mafiatic reputation. Elvis Presley's remarkable life story began in Tupelo on January 8, 1935, when he was born to Vernon and Gladys Presley. Unfortunately, his twin brother Jessie Garon was stillborn, making Elvis grow up as an only child. In 1948, Elvis and his parents relocated to Memphis, where he spent a significant part of his life. He completed his education at Humes High School in 1953. Elvis's musical journey was shaped by a diverse range of influences. He was exposed to the popular and country music of his time, as well as the gospel music he heard in church and at all-night gospel sings that he frequently attended. During his teenage years, Elvis was exposed to the music of lesser-known black rhythm and blues artists, such as Big Mama Thornton and Big Joe Turner. These artists, among many others, played a significant role in shaping the blues genre that Elvis and other rock and rollers borrowed from. It is important to acknowledge the historical context in which these artists operated. In the early 20th century, black musicians were often marginalized and their music was classified as race music, deemed unsuitable for mainstream white radio. This classification limited their exposure to larger audiences and the financial success that artists like Elvis and others who covered their songs achieved. This fact also contributed to not-so-good reputation Elvis supported in the black community. Presley is celebrated as the king and the one true iconoclast of rock and roll, one who epitomized pop culture perfection. However, Elvis left a trail of disaster in his wake due to his ominous behavior throughout a turbulent personal life. However, there are simply far too many murky details that have come to light about him as a human, issues that can't be neglected, and the evidence of vitriolic behavior is insurmountable. It might be hard to believe that Elvis was actually a racist at heart. You see, Quincy Jones revealed that he always refused to work with Elvis because of that. The superstar producer explained, "No, I wouldn't work with him. I was writing for orchestra leader Tommy Dorsey, oh God, back then in the 50s. And Elvis came in, and Tommy said, I don't want to play with him. He was a racist mother. I'm going to shut up now." Meanwhile, Public Enemy's song Fight. The Power also pointed out Elvis's racial temperament. Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant S to me. Straight up racist, that sucker was simple and plain. While there's no cement evidence that Elvis was a racist, he undeniably appropriated black culture and repackaged it to the general public. The racism in American society allowed him to have such a fruitful career, and it was certainly something he leaned into consciously. Let's not forget that even though there were no documented meetups between Elvis and Brando, on the screen that is, you see, anonymous sources have claimed that they were quite close to each other. Both of them used to have secret conversations with a woman named Carmen Montez. According to author Gary Lindbergh's book, Brando on Elvis, in his own words, Brando's secret letters to Montez during the 1960s and 1970s were revealed for the first time. Brando described Elvis as being churned up inside and fearful of himself during a difficult period of his life. The king was reportedly scared that he was not being honest about his orientation. Brando wrote to Montez that it looked like Elvis really didn't feel like talking to anyone. The letter came after claims that Elvis had been savagely attacked by suspected gang members who attempted to kidnap him. He said, "I know he's there shut up in the house, and I know he got the note I left him, but he hasn't responded. I didn't think Pris would get to him this time. I mean, get under his skin, especially if she made him so mad in Memphis. In the letter, Brando alluded that Priscilla and Elvis were arguing in recent months at the time. He noted how she could have been the one to help him get over his trauma from the past. Brando added, "He's just begun to find himself as a man, and a patient, understanding wife could have done wonders." Brando hinted that due to continuous suppression of his inner desires, Elvis began to fear his real identity. He's being churned up inside until he fears himself. I sometimes think he fears that he's a latent H. Now, even if you don't want to take Brando's words for it, you should know that the rumors about Elvis's intimate preferences were quite extensive during his career, but Elvis made a conscious voice to ignore them. So conspiracy theorists believe that maybe it was Elvis's way of confirming them without negating them.
I'm used to the garbage can at the International Hotel, man. If I can't smell some garbage, I don't feel at home, man.
Moreover, Presley's dancing style and its impact on his fans have been subjects of discussion and varying opinions. Some fans indeed described him as a masculine dancer, often referring to him as Elvis the Pelvis. His energetic movements on stage, particularly his hip gyrations, garnered attention and generated both admiration and controversy. Moreover, early media coverage of Elvis often portrayed his dancing as provocative and compared it to that of a female. Critics expressed concern and even disgust over his perceived explicit movements. In 1956, a judge expressed his disapproval, referring to Elvis's performance as a self-gratifying S with clothes on. It is worth noting that opinions on Elvis's dancing were not universally negative. According to Alana Nash, the author of a biography on Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, Parker was actually pleased with his provocative dancing style. Nash suggested that Parker saw it as a marketing tool, likening Elvis's performance to that of male S artist and the enticing valley girls found at carnivals.
It was a night, ooh, what a night it was, it really was such a night.
Even his chauffeur, Gerald Peters, who was also his very close friend, said that Presley can be considered a man's man. He stated, although he loved Priscilla dearly, he preferred the company of men. David Bowie, on the other hand, once claimed in 1972 that Presley is the perfect example of a bi man. Even Presley was seen questioning his own desires through a song, Jailhouse Rock, in which he sang, "You're the cutest jailbird I ever did. See, I sure would be delighted with your company. Come on and do the Jailhouse Rock with me." It is widely believed that Presley did not get a chance to discover his innate identity in detail because he was born and brought up in a traditional Christian family. Adding to his problems was the fact that he later was labeled as a masculinity symbol for women. So being gay seemed to be unnatural.
First of all, I plead innocent of all charges.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, dear. Love you too.
Another important puzzle piece in Presley's orientation was Nick Adams, an actor who played a significant role in Presley's life during a crucial period of his career. Adams, who had a previous connection with James Dean, another iconic actor, formed a close bond with Presley after Dean's untimely death. Their friendship blossomed just as Presley's stardom was on the rise. It was said that Adams had a calming influence on Presley, which was particularly valuable given Presley's sometimes volatile temperament. Colonel Tom Parker, Presley's manager, recognized the positive impact that Adams had on Presley and encouraged their friendship. Parker saw the value in having a stabilizing presence in Presley's life. Well, people believe that there was more to their relationship than simple bromance. Substance and copious amounts of alcohol were a large component in the pair's socializing, as they both struggled with the vagaries of fame, although Elvis's superstardom greatly eclipsed Adams' comparatively humble acting career. According to Elvis biographer Kathleen Tracy, the King would often ask Adams to stay over on nights. But there was more to this than simple friendship. The two were rumored to regularly indulge in tea with female groupies and famous actresses. One notorious documented third in these encounters was actress Natalie Wood. Several sources, including New York Times reporter Danforth Prince, biographer Darwin Porter, and Adams' personal assistant William Dakota, claimed the pair indulged in oral S with each other and mutual. Elvis's doctor and confidant, George C. Nicopolis, also hinted in interviews about Elvis's same-S dalliances, although undoubtedly one must question the word of any medical professional who is willing to divulge confidential information about a patient, especially gossip that was posthumously profitable. Bill Dakota, Adams' personal assistant, told the gossip columnist, both Nick and Elvis were bi, although both enjoyed men as companions and lovers more than women. Elvis was always with the so-called Memphis Mafia, more than women. I recall many times that Elvis paid Nick's airfare to Memphis whenever he visited Graceland. One day they had a falling out, and Nick spent the day at the front gate with Elvis's uncle Vester Presley. On several occasions, I would be with Nick when he picked up his airline tickets. On top of that, the courtship and marriage between Elvis Presley and Priscilla Presley indeed had some aspects that may be difficult for fans to reconcile with the image of a fairy tale romance. Priscilla was indeed quite young when she first met Elvis, being only 14 years old while Elvis was 24 at the time. According to Priscilla's own account, which she shared with People magazine in 1985, their courtship had its complexities. Priscilla described how Elvis pursued her and wooed her during their time together.
There was a little girl that I was seeing quite often over there that her father was in the Air Force, and actually they only got over there about 2 months before I left.
Priscilla and Elvis met back in 1959. As an Air Force brat, she was constantly moving around, but at that point, she and her family settled in a small town in Germany. Elvis and Priscilla met soon after at a party, where Priscilla was invited by a family friend. When she and Elvis met, she immediately told him she was in 9th grade, to which he reportedly said, "Why, you're just a baby." But then he took that baby up to his room a few nights later, because as Priscilla recalled, he said, "I want to be alone with you, Priscilla. Will you come upstairs to my room?" The details shared by Priscilla Presley about her relationship with Elvis reveal a complex and potentially troubling dynamic. According to Priscilla's account, they spent a significant amount of time together, but she states that they did not engage in intimacy during the early stages of their courtship. Elvis reportedly reassured her that they had plenty of time. Priscilla also mentioned that as their relationship progressed and they spent more nights together, it began to take a toll on her. She experienced a decline in her academic performance, and Elvis allegedly provided her with D to help her stay awake. She said, "My parents became confused and bewildered by our relationship. We tried to make them believe that it was proper and platonic, and they wanted to believe me. We had a nightly ritual. At about 10 or 11, Elvis would glance at me and look toward the stairs. Then, naively assuming that nobody knew where I was headed, I'd casually proceed to his bedroom, where I'd lie on his bed, waiting for him to appear. 'Sweetness,' he would say, putting his arms around me. 'You're so pretty, honey.' And then we'd kiss long, deep, passionate kisses. Soon, Elvis was primping her into the image he wanted by buying her revealing clothes and pounding on the makeup she didn't want. He applied makeup so heavily that you couldn't tell if my eyes were black, blue, or black and blue. That was what Elvis wanted. Elvis also repeatedly pressed her on the fact that she had to remain a virgin for him. 'I want you back the way you are now. And remember, I'll always know.' She was devoted to him, but he was anything but. According to biographer Peter Guralnick in Careless Love, The Unmaking of Elvis Presley, Elvis was also dating a 19-year-old named Elizabeth Stefaniak at the same time he was with Priscilla. She claimed they refrained from having intimacy because of Elvis's fear of pregnancy. But like his relationship with Priscilla, that didn't stop him from sleeping with Stefaniak every night for some time and fooling around. Along with that, he had an affair with his co-star Anne Margaret, who he was reportedly crazy about, all during this same time period. Years later, Priscilla moved in with Elvis in Graceland at his request. The two got engaged just before Christmas in 1966, when she was 21 and he was almost 32. On May 1st, 1967, they wed in a private ceremony in Las Vegas and jetted off to Palm Springs for their honeymoon. According to Priscilla's autobiography, Elvis and Me, they were intimate for the first time that night.
We called it Elvis's May Day, and I was there. At about 4 in the morning, Elvis and Priscilla went to the Clark County Courthouse, where Elvis paid $15 for a marriage license.
Exactly 9 months later, on February 1st, 1968, they had a daughter named Lisa Marie Presley. The turbulent relationship continued for 6 years until Priscilla left him for the last time. In her autobiography, she said her feelings of neglect and loneliness drove her to have an affair with their karate instructor, Mike Stone. She told Elvis when she left that she was finding herself for the first time. Priscilla Presley has spoken about the challenges she faced during her relationship with Elvis Presley. She has mentioned that as their relationship progressed, Elvis's excessive partying began to involve alcohol, and she encountered harmful substances and Ds. In various interviews, Priscilla has acknowledged that she led a dual life during that time, being a student by day and embracing a more adventurous persona by night. During a 2016 appearance on the British talk show Loose Women aired on ITV, Priscilla may have further discussed these aspects of her life. When I moved to Graceland, he already had his inner circle. Of course I was taken in, but I never realized that that was it. We didn't go out. He didn't like to eat in restaurants because people would take pictures of him, and he didn't want to be photographed sticking a fork in his mouth. We lived in a bubble. My adolescence was not that of a normal girl. I had to adapt. I just followed what Elvis did. I lived his life. I watched the movies he wanted to watch, listened to the music he wanted to listen to, went to the places he went. She dropped the bombshell revelation that Elvis had complete control on every aspect of her life. She explained that she felt like ragdoll during her years with Elvis. He taught me everything: how to dress, how to walk, how to do my makeup and hair, how to behave, how to return the love in his way. Over the years, he became my father, husband, and almost God. My life was his life. He had to be happy. We never bothered him. My problems were secondary. To top it off, Elvis was just as bad of a father as he was a husband. You see, it has been reported that he was not thrilled at the news of Priscilla's pregnancy. She confessed to the Guardian newspaper in 2012 by saying he was worried about what his fans would think of him being a father and how that would affect his status as a symbol. Elvis was a loving father, but it was hard for him to watch the babies eat because they drooled, and he didn't change diapers. Not a single one. Not one. That wasn't a man's job. In several interviews, she confessed that she did everything for him to be well. I loved to take care of him. I loved to feed him. We talked like babies because you have to have your own language when there are so many people around. It was a good life. She also revealed that she never ever felt secure in the 10 years of her marriage with Elvis. She said, "Women gravitated towards him, so I would get nervous when he had to go places alone. I would even accompany him to get his teeth cleaned. I kept an eye out for him because everyone was chasing him." Apart from that, there have been allegations and claims made regarding Elvis Presley's relationships with underage girls during his career. According to Joel Williamson, author of Elvis Presley, A Southern Life, there are accounts suggesting that Elvis engaged in inappropriate behavior with young fans while on tour. The Far Out magazine reported Joel Williamson, author of Elvis Presley, A Southern Life, claimed that 2 years before Elvis met his future wife, he took a group of 3 14-year-old girls with him on tour who were up for pillow fights, tickling, kissing, and cuddling. Elsewhere in Williamson's book, he claims that Presley had a 15-year-old girlfriend when he was 19 and that the singer was obsessed with. The death of Elvis Presley on August 16, 1977, marked a significant loss in the music industry and left millions of fans around the world in shock and mourning. However, in the aftermath of his funeral, a small group of skeptics emerged, speculating that Elvis may have faked his own death rather than actually passing away. Despite clear statements from doctors and the coroner confirming Elvis's death due to heart failure at the age of 42, these skeptics held onto the belief that the iconic singer had orchestrated his own disappearance as a means of going into hiding. This theory of Elvis faking his death gained traction among a subset of fans who refused to accept the official accounts. One of the biggest theories on why Presley may have faked his death is because he had to in order to escape the mafia. Gail Brewer-Giorgio, the author of the 1988 best-selling book Is Elvis Alive, recalled in a recent interview with Time how she poured through thousands of FBI documents to come to the conclusion that Presley was an American hero who had to go into witness protection. "Do I know if Elvis is alive today? No, I don't know," she said, "but I know he didn't die on August 16th. Brewer-Giorgio, now 78, said the FBI enlisted Presley as an undercover agent in 1976 to help the agency infiltrate a criminal organization called the Fraternity, which was apparently made up of dozens of racketeers. Presley volunteered, spurred by his love of America and respect for the FBI, according to Brewer-Giorgio. The author said the agency had approached Presley because a member of the fraternity had apparent dealings with Presley over the sale of an airplane the singer had. But when Presley was found to be a mole, he was put into the witness protection program, Brewer-Giorgio said, citing what she said was evidence from FBI documents and interviews. Elvis faked his death because he was going to be K-Ed, and there was no doubt about it. Patrick Lacey, an Elvis Presley researcher who wrote Elvis Decoded, which debunks the theories surrounding Presley's death. Those FBI files are available to the public. I have them. There's nothing in there. All of the evidence points to a death. The medical evidence, the eyewitness report. To have him have faked his death would have required the silence and the services of literally hundreds, if not thousands, of people over the years. The conspiracy theories bring unnecessary pain to Presley's family, said Lacey, who calls himself a big Elvis fan. I didn't just get into this because I've got nothing better to do. I believe that the people who say Elvis is alive are doing a great disservice to him and his family. Imagine you have to go through your life saying your father did all of these things and that he conned his fans. Elvis's death hurt a lot of people. It still does. You have to ask, what kind of person would Elvis be to do that to his fans? Despite that, fans remember Elvis for his unforgettable talent in music. Elvis, the one and only, never forgotten. All in all, it is a fact that Elvis has been a quite mysterious person in every aspect of his life, including his professional relations, personal preferences, and even death. That is it for today. See you at the next one. Goodbye.